Giniki prevents the movie thief from unlawfully filming a Toriko film. Giniki discovers, after pushing it to apologize to the audience, that his persistent bullying has both shattered its camera head and made it cry. Giniki eventually decides to assist the thief in illegally recording another video, incurring the anger of Shinpachi and Kagura. The Yorozuya trio is hired as security detail for an old movie theater that teaches audiences movie theater etiquette and rules. This includes a small film strip bonus set of the erotic movie scene in which the trio appears. Giniki determines that he would examine what the thief has taped by himself and brings him to the theater's restroom. When he pushes the play button, he is surrounded by a white light. During the Zhui Wars, both the Manto and humans were battling on the same battlefield. On a gigantic, downed airship, a robed man fights Giniki with his tendril-like ribbons on the ship's deck. Before being beheaded, the figure was able to slice Shiroyasha once. Giniki's blood inexplicably glows for a second after he is bleeding and fatigued. Before dying, the figure, revealed to be a machine, watches the soldier leave and delivers him a solemn prediction and warning. Due to a white plague, Giniki is subsequently surrounded by a motorbike gang of Mohawk punks wearing masks. They demand money and clothing from him, but when he refuses, they decide to attack him. A robed figure interrupts them, fighting the punks with a recognizable Lake Toya wooden sword and telling Giniki to go. Giniki is taken aback to see Shinpachi and Kagura have matured into capable fighters, appear more mature, and have abandoned their former habits. The thugs decide to flee. Remembering that he has a different appearance in everyone else's eyes, Giniki's cover story is he's a country boy that was helped by Giniki some time ago, who told him some of his life story and gave him his signature outfit, going by the name Chinpo. Giniki inquires about Kagura and Shinpachi's feud as the gang enters Otos's tavern. Otos responds that since Giniki's death, the two have argued over who will take his position as Edo's protector, despite the world's wretched state. It had gotten so bad that they had abandoned their identities as the exotic foreigner and the straight man. Otos goes on to say that everyone has changed in the last 5 years. This includes seeing Hasegawa, Catherine, and Tama in the future. Giniki returns to the apartment later that night and finds it deserted and dusty. He asks about Edo's fate in the plague. Kagura responds that the virus originated in Edo and swiftly spread over the world. It kills people in a month and has no known cause or cure. The term white plague comes from the virus's ability to turn victims' hair white. Those that can afford to escape the world fast, leaving behind the poor, diseased, opportunists, and hardy. Future Giniki vanished before the disease spread, revealing that the virus was created by humans using nanomachines. She and Shinpachi believe he is still alive someplace, attempting to find a cure. Even though the past would never return, the two wanted to ensure that their boss has a place to return to. Giniki, relieved, asks Shinpachi and Kagura to help him rebuild the Yorozuya so they may fulfill future Giniki's mission and find Gengai for the camera robot. Although Kagura is shocked that Sadaharu has swiftly warmed up to the stranger, the two were not delighted with the request. A robed figure with the same appearance as the one portrayed in the Zhui War conflict watches from a rooftop far away. Shinpachi, Kagura, Giniki, and Sadaharu walk towards a bridge. Giniki is shocked to find that not only Gengai, but also Katsura and Kondo, are scheduled for execution. According to Kagura, they were all detained independently 5 years ago as a result of the same event. Both Gengai and Katsura had shattered after future Giniki vanished. The old mechanic is drinking heavily and the moderate terrorist, now disguised as Takasugi, joins the extremist Juishishi. The two wanted individuals were arrested separately after being witnessed converting a Colonel Sanders statue into a robotic Takasugi clone. Giniki is furious and tries to kill Katsura and Kondo for being fools, but is stopped by Kagura. The three men are unexpectedly saved by the former Shinsengumi and Katsura's Juishishi, who had joined forces to save their commanders. With the distraction, Kagura, Shinpachi, and Giniki attempt to stop Gengai from being beheaded, but Giniki mistakenly beheads Gengai owing to their animosity. The head is discovered to be a bomb and explodes while the three debate. The Shinsengumi and Juishishi spend the night at an inn. They celebrate their leader's return and their unity to rise to a new era. They also praise the Yorozuya's assistance, amazed that they were reforming, even though Hijikata, Okita, and Katsura criticize Chinpo as a poor substitute. Kagura and Shinpachi deny being reformed, and Shinpachi dismisses Kondo's questioning concerning Tei before leaving. Katsura and the Shinsengumi three both concur that they were still in shock after their leader died. Katsura later stands on the balcony, looking out into the rain, grieving his failure to safeguard Giniki's world. He tells Giniki that his future self understood the plague was the same as the one manufactured by a group of Amanto mercenaries, known as the Inmi. They exploited it to cause enormous death to ally and enemy equally. Giniki had visited Katsura before disappearing to reminisce about the past, which was out of character for him, and the terrorist laments not seeing Giniki's burden. Giniki glances out the balcony silently and notices an Inmi in the distance. Shocked, he rushes out into the pouring rain onto the streets, but no trace of the figure can be found. He discovers Kagura and Sadaharu talking. Kondo, who had discreetly followed Shinpachi to the hospital to see Tei, is taken aback by the sight. Kua-e, Tsukuyo, and Sarutobi also pay visits to Tai in an attempt to cheer her up. She hopes for the samurai to return so she can see him one last time before she dies, but Sarutobi accuses her of her pessimism and begs Tei to remain alive long enough to see Giniki again. Giniki arrives to liven things up before recalling he was still in disguise. Tei, who is virtually blind, believes Giniki has returned, and Shinpachi, Kagura, and Kondo pretend that the Yorozuya has reunited to save the world for her reason, which makes her happy. Giniki goes to Otos's bar to find the real Gengai still alive and well, drinking, despite the fact that both he and Otos were fully aware of Giniki's true identity. While the men have a drink, Giniki says that he has no idea how to alter the future and is still trying to figure out how he died. Gengai admits that the person who summoned Giniki was his future self. He had instructed Gengai to develop it and use it to bring back his past self if he ever vanished. Giniki thanks his future self and decides to assist this world. Shinpachi and Kagura, clothed in their medieval clothing, join in. They all spend the next few days searching but end up empty-handed. While recovering, Kagura inquires of Giniki about his plans after rescuing the world, to which he replies that he will return home. Kagura then wonders if future Giniki will return and expresses her displeasure at how similar they were. Kagura and Shinpachi observe that present Giniki is holding the bonus theater award, but are cut off by a call from Gengai. He informs them that after mending the time thief, it was promptly stolen by the Inmi. They are both now hiding in the terminal ruins. Giniki was the first to spot the soldier when the Yorozuya split apart to look for it. The two fight, but Giniki notices that Inmi can read all of his moves. Giniki strikes as the Inmi delivers his final blow, injuring the Inmi. The Inmi expresses its joy at finally being free and shows itself to be the future Giniki. Giniki is horrified when his dying future self discloses that the incurable virus originated / will come from him. The mercenary Inmi were the nanomachines they controlled, and when Giniki murdered the leader, he became infected with them. Instead of him dying, the machines went into hibernation, rebuilding their minds and analyzing his DNA. They spend the next 10 years perfecting their plague before spreading it to the rest of the world. It was too late for future Giniki to grasp what was going on. He managed to keep himself alive long enough to request Gengai about the time machine and recollect with Katsura before attempting suicide. But by then, the Inmi had completely taken control. He tells his past self to finish the next phase, and dies with a smile, saying he is the only one who can overcome himself. The time thief informs Giniki that after eliminating his future self, he would be taken to the past, 15 years before the Zhui Wars, to kill his previous self after he defeats and becomes infected by the Inmi. Giniki accepts the mission eagerly, knowing that by doing so, he will cease to exist and, as a result, save the planet. He apologizes to Shinpachi and Kagura for not returning, but they appear behind him in the machine. They show him their movie bonus films, explaining that it was a last souvenir of their employer and that they hoped it would become a full set again. They desperately plead with him to stay, admitting that Chinpo was Giniki. Shinpachi and Kagura run toward him as he is engulfed in light. The two discover themselves in a restored Edo's future. They happen to find Hijikata and ask him where Giniki was, but they are shocked to learn that he has never heard of Giniki and does not recognize them. Giniki and the time thief stand on a cliff witnessing the beginnings of that war in the past. The time thief apologizes to Giniki for having him save the world pragmatically by eliminating his existence. Giniki acknowledges it, offering his theater bonus to the machine and saying thank you to his fellow Yorozuya members before running into the fight. In the future, Kagura and Shinpachi have a nervous breakdown when they discover Giniki's apartment is not what it appears to be. The two sob as they declare that they do not want to live without him. Shinpachi and Kagura's memories were reset just as Giniki stabbed his previous self. The two are puzzled as to why they are sobbing, and they notice the time thief, rusted, and bruised from living through the 15 years after running out of energy for time jumps. It informs them that it has returned to help Giniki and reveals itself to be Tama. Giniki is glad that everything has been completed in the past, but the person he stabbed was not his earlier self. It was Hasegawa. The Madao felt awful and decided to enter the battle dressed as Giniki, which meant that not only was the Shoujo absent, but the enemy was still alive. Giniki wants to punish the older man for sabotaging the effort to save the future, but Hasegawa assures him that he was successful, and that he genuinely came from that future. Tama was able to recover everyone's memories of Giniki thanks to her memory banks, and after Gengai fixed her and the time machine camera, she and the groups were transported back in time at this point, determined to restore Giniki's future. He thanks them for changing his timetable and expresses gratitude for the opportunity to be by their side. As they race to the enemy ship, the Yamato army attacks and is forced back by the future group led by Giniki, Shinpachi, and Kagura. Giniki is approached first by the four ladies, who chastise him for fleeing but are relieved to see him again. Tei is relieved that everyone, including her brother and Kagura, has returned to normal. The enemy leader is surprised to see the strength of the future army and sends its men to battle. They begin to send out their curse tags, but an explosion from Katsura's bombs destroy them. The Shinsengumi and the Juishishi work together to stop the enemy from activating the curse, while Hijikata, Okita, and Kondo pave the way for the Yorozuya to reach the top of the ship. They do so and Giniki strikes at the enemy leader as they land in the abandoned command room. The enemy leader recognizes present Giniki as the Shoujo, repeating the premonition and starts attacking him with its curse seals. It is surprised to see him still standing and continues its assault. Giniki slowly walks towards it, confirming the leader's words as his skin starts to be covered in markings. Realizing his immunity thanks to already being infected, the enemy physically fights him. Giniki states that even if they cursed him and even if he destroys everything, the people he cared for will stop him. Giniki holds the leader in place as Shinpachi and Kagura jump from the roof to stab it into the wall. It commends Giniki for using his cursed body as a shield so his comrades can deal the finishing blow, but mocks him for being unable to stop it from activating its curse and save them. He tells Giniki that the samurai will have to watch the world get destroyed. Since they had changed the past, Shinpachi and Kagura wonder what the new future will bring. Tama answers that due to the altered timeline, both the time machine and themselves will not exist, and so they, in a way, will return to the future. Yamazaki, Tama, and Hasegawa are the first to vanish, while some of the others decide to take advantage of the situation. Hijikata decides to finally arrest Katsura. Sarutobi decides to proclaim her love to Giniki, but Tsukuyo beheads her and holds the head for ransom before both women fade. With everyone gone, Kagura, Giniki, Sadaharu, and Shinpachi give each other one last hug, promising and hoping that they will meet each other again in this new future before fading, except for Shinpachi as just his glasses disappeared. After credits, it was revealed that the Yorozuya did indeed meet each other again in the new future, and the scene ends with another usual day at Kabukicho. That's all for the video. Don't forget to subscribe for more anime recaps, turn on the bell notification for future uploads, and leave a like to help the channel.